Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, or if it's your first time, welcome to the channel. Today we are going to talk about building a custom home in the Colorado Springs area. Is it the right thing for you? I don't know. Listen up. All right, so hey, before we get into today's video on building custom home here in the Colorado Springs, Pikes Peak area, let me just, as always, remind everybody, our channel is all about Colorado Springs, where to eat, work, live, play, whatever it might be. That's the information we want to get out to you guys. We want to tell you all about our awesome, great city. So if that's information you're interested in, maybe you're thinking about a trip out here, kind of want to know more about Colorado Springs, take the time, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell so you get all the notifications. We post some new videos every week for you. Like I said, just want to make sure you have all the information about our area here in Colorado. And on a little bit different topic also, we are licensed real estate brokers. So if you are definitely coming to Colorado Springs, or you have very good intention, maybe you're even just trying to kind of feel it out and see if it's a place you want to be, reach out, call, text, email, hit us up in the comments, whatever's easiest for you. Again, we want to make sure you have all the information to see if it's the right place for you. And if you are headed here, we just want to make sure you're taken care of. That's what we do every day. We have people reach out to us, call, text, email, like I said. They're looking to move to Colorado Springs. We're helping them and or their families get settled into the best housing situation they can possibly find in our sweet area here. So like I said, reach out anytime, happy to help. All right, so let's get into today's topic, building a custom home in Colorado Springs. So this is a topic that it just seems like we have more folks that are asking us about custom homes and looking to build a custom home than what we historically have. So I think there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, like I've said in 100 videos, probably inventory is stupid low right now. So resale inventory is really low. On the new build side, like production builders where you're in a neighborhood, even those builds are really behind schedule right now. There's little inventory there, although it's starting to pick up. So I think a lot of people have looked towards the custom build possibility. So custom build, nothing fancy. Well, I guess it can be really fancy, but nothing special or complicated about it. It's essentially, instead of buying a resale home that someone's already lived in, or instead of buying a brand new home that's in a neighborhood, you find a lot or a builder that you really like and you design your home. A lot of builders have plans that you start from and you can go from there. You can go from scratch and just plan out exactly what you want your house to be like, pick all of your finishes, have their designer help you pick the finishes. Just, it's a super open box of whatever you want to do with your house. My wife and I have been through the custom build process personally, and for us, it was an enjoyable experience. I think for some people it can be pretty stressful, honestly, to kind of work through all the details of everything you have to pick out. But again, a quality builder is going to help you down that road. So the financing part of it's a little bit different. Typically, there's a piece of land that you have to buy, and then you're going to get a construction loan to actually build the house. So the financing, I guess, logistics of it are a little bit different. But at the end of the day, when your house is ready, you're going to finance it with a 30-year or a 15-year fixed loan. So everything is the same as when you bought your quote unquote regular house resale home. So man, just in general with Colorado Springs, I will say there's some great local custom home builders. There's probably, I don't know, maybe there's probably around 10 or so I would say that we either hear a lot of or have clients build with. But there's a lot of great custom builders. Like every single industry, there's those that maybe aren't that great, and there's some that are just really top notch. But there are a lot of great local custom builders to pick from. Pricing varies a lot in custom. I mean, if you do kind of bare bones, you pick a builder's plan, you don't make a lot of changes to it, and you go with real basic finishes, then the pricing can be pretty darn competitive with like resale or a production home. Now, if you want to get to where you're designing your home from scratch, and then the designer and architect are going through the whole process to figure out exactly how that home's going to work, and it's getting engineered and all that stuff, and you're picking out top of the line gold-plated fixtures, you're going to get pretty darn expensive pretty fast. But the nice thing about it is, again, you get to pick those finishes, whatever your budget allows and whatever your taste allow. Another great thing is you get to pick your location. For me, this was a huge thing when my wife and I decided to build a custom home. Was I knew where I wanted to live. I wanted to have a little bit of elbow room around me. I like to be in the trees. So we were able to find a lot, and we actually purchased the lot before we had picked a builder or selected it, all that other stuff that you have to think about. So that's one possibility, is you can pick a lot that you want, you find an area that you really want to be in, you start to work with a great local realtor to help you find a lot. You can purchase that lot, and then after you have the lot, you can then talk with the builder and kind of work through that process with the builder. Some people will decide what builder they want to use ahead of time, and then they can see a lot of builders keep lots in inventory, so they might own 5 or 6 lots that the builder has that you can then buy the lot from the builder and then build with them. That's an option a lot of times too. And then the other option that I think is great is finding a lot, simultaneously deciding what builder you want to use, and then before you purchase that lot, or at least before you close on it, when you still have a contingency out of the contract, have that builder come walk that lot with you. The last thing you want to do is, you've got your budget in your mind and you say, okay, I'm going to buy this lot, and it's, I don't know, let's say it's $200,000 for the lot. And you think, okay, that fits into my budget. I'm going to build the house for this much. And that's, everything's going to be great at the end of the day. And then you pick a builder after you own the lot. The builder comes out and they say, hey, that's great and all, but the septic system's going to cost an extra $30,000 because of the soil. And oh, you want to do a walkout lot here, or you want to do a walkout home. It really doesn't work on that lot that well. We can do it, but it's an extra $100,000. And now you're $150,000 over budget and you haven't even started to do anything yet. So I really like the idea of having the builder evaluate the lot if you're going to buy a lot that's not currently owned by a builder. That's my take on it. There's a little bit of risk if you buy a lot just without talking to anybody and then you pick your builder after the fact. So the fact overall that you can pick your location, that's a great thing about building a custom home. You pick the location, whatever part of town, whatever area you want, whatever size lot you want. All those are things that you can decide yourself. So you pick the lot and you pick the builder that you're going to have do this project for you. One of the best things about it is that you get to design your dream home. As long as it fits within your budget, you're going to be able to pretty much make whatever you want to, like I said. So if you and your family has like this vision of what the perfect dream home looks like, and you can sit down, you can talk with the builder, you can work through the basics of it and get an idea if that's going to work in your budget. If it does, awesome. If you have to trim some things out, you just have to make that decision. Can we trim out enough to get down to budget, but that it's still our dream home at the end of the day? So the ability to pick your location and build your dream home on it, those are two of the best things about it. That's why you do a custom home. And those are two amazing things that if you get the opportunity to do, highly recommend. Another thing that has really changed recently, and I think this is why we've gotten more interest in custom builds. Historically, custom builds took a long time compared to buying resale or moving into a new production built home in a community. So, if we back up 4 or 5 years ago, a production builder would do a brand new home from the time you contracted it until you moved in was 5 months. Sometimes even quicker, sometimes a little bit longer, but 5 months was definitely doable. And whereas a custom home build time was like 12 to 14 months. So now fast forward to today, that's not the case anymore. A production home builder, just with material shortages, supply chain issues, finding workers, all that stuff, labor issues, production home builders are now 12 months plus to build a home as well. So if you go into a community where the builder is already building a bunch of other houses, you're going to be 12 months out probably by the time you get the house anyway. And custom builders, depending on who you build with, are 12 to 18 months, maybe a little bit more than that, but 12 to 18 months is a realistic timeline depending on what builder you pick and what their process is and how much specialty stuff, if you will, you want in your home. So those timelines have kind of gotten squished together. It used to be people would do a production home, a brand new home in a community because it was a faster delivery time. They could get into it. And this custom build thing was like, oh my gosh, it's this thing that I've got to wait a year before I even get into it. I got to go through all this hassle. But now because those timelines have gotten so close to each other, I think that's another reason we've had more people ask us about custom builds probably in the last 6 months than we have in the last couple years before that, honestly. So the build price is another thing that I think what has happened, in my opinion, is that people have just kind of not gotten numb to it. They've got accepting of the fact that at least in the Colorado Springs area, housing is kind of expensive. It's the highest thing that affects your cost of living here in Colorado Springs. So when we look at those house prices, they went up 37% over the last 2-ish years. So new build prices on the custom side have certainly went up as well, just as material costs have went up, labor costs have went up. So they've went up, but now because those prices of a resale home or a new construction home in a community have went up so much as well, I think people are a little bit more accepting of some of those custom home prices. Now, don't get me wrong, you're not going to build a custom home in Colorado Springs for $500,000. Realistically, you're pushing the 7-figure mark, close to $1 million if you want to build a custom home in Colorado Springs. Now, trust me, you can get way north of that. You can build for $4 or $5 million in Colorado Springs on some amazing lots, or you can build close to that $1 million mark. So custom home, it typically isn't a first-time home buyer process. It typically is someone that's a little bit later in life. Maybe their income earning is a little bit higher. Maybe they've sold a few properties along the way. They bought and sold and they've taken their equity and rolled it into their next house. That's what we see a lot of, is people that have bought and sold houses along the way throughout their life. And now they're taking that ball of equity and they're putting it into a custom build. So it's not the cheapest thing in the world for sure. Now, that being said, you can buy a new home in a community for 7 figures, or you can go buy a resale home for 7 figures. And I think as those prices have went up, people have just kind of said, man, maybe a brand new custom build, while a little pricey, it's not that crazy compared to what I might pay for the same equivalent size and location home. And again, I get to design it all and do it all myself. So I think as prices have went up, new build prices have certainly went up as well, but it's just kind of, people have gotten a little bit more used to it, and it's not quite as crazy as what it was maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. So what do you need to consider? So if you're thinking about building a custom home, Colorado Springs area, we've kind of talked through some of it: location and builder and budget. Those 3 things, location, builder, and budget. Maybe not in that order, probably budget first. Budget, location, builder. Those are the things that you need to think through. Those are the biggest things you need to consider. Will there be other considerations? Oh my gosh, yes, you're gonna have to pick out tile, flooring, and carpet, and paint, and trim, and doors, and all that stuff. But knowing what your budget is, number one, what's your budget? And then location and builder, I think, go hand in hand to make sure you're set up for the best chance of success at the end of the day. And part of that success is staying on budget too. So definitely figure out what your budget is, have a good, honest conversation with yourself and or your family, and figure out what that number is that you're comfortable with. And then start looking for the location that you love. What part of Colorado Springs do you love? Do you love the trees in Black Forest? Do you love it out where it's a little bit more open on the east side of town? Do you want to be up north and in the foothills, kind of around the Larkspur area closer to Denver? Do you want to be up in Woodland Park? There's a ton of areas in and around Colorado Springs that give you the opportunity to pick a lot location that you love and build a custom home on it. And then, like I said, kind of simultaneous with that picking the lot is picking the builder. I encourage everyone to interview multiple custom home builders, because so much of the process is about personality and understanding their process. And if you're going to jive with that builder, it's a long path together. Like I said, it's 12 to 18 months of working hand in hand with a builder. So you want to make sure that you just have a good feel for them. Now, I got to throw a little bit out there that we do work with a local custom builder. It's called Colorelli Custom Homes. Great local builder. Their parent company is Colorelli Construction, which is a big regional commercial builder, but it really enables them to build amazing homes. There's nothing they can't do, which is one thing I love about them. Their price point is very, very competitive, and they have several lots in the area that you can purchase from the builder. So a lot of great things about them. I'll definitely put a plug out there for Colorelli Custom Homes. I do encourage, like I said, I encourage everyone, just interview multiple builders, see who you're going to be a good fit with at the end of the day, and make sure that they're on the same page with how you see the process going, the design process, the build process, the communication. Like I said, it's a pretty big price tag at the end of the day, so you want to make sure you're comfortable with whoever you pick, whoever you choose. Like everything, everybody always tells us, don't go with the cheapest, don't go with the most expensive. Somewhere in the middle is probably a pretty good price point, and you're going to find somebody that really fits your personality, and it's going to be a fun experience. It should be an exciting and fun experience. Like I said, maybe a little stressful at times, but it should be a fun and exciting process to build custom. So what are the pros and cons? Man, pro, I think we've kind of hit on it. You get to be where you're at in the house of your dreams with all the stuff that you picked out that your budget would afford. So that's what building custom is all about. Those are the pros. The cons on the flip side is a little bit higher price tag for sure, a little bit longer build time, but like I said, not that crazy compared to what other new construction options are, but definitely more than just buying a resale home and moving in 30 days. Your 12 to 18 months is a good window to just think about whenever you're building. So the timeline is a con. For a lot of folks, a big con that's associated with that timeline is the financing part of it. Like I said, you're gonna have to buy the lot, you're gonna have to obtain a construction loan, and the financing institution you work with, they're going to have to be okay with you financing the amount of the home plus the lot. And then if you have another house that you're currently living in that you haven't sold yet, you're going to have to kind of balance all that out and make sure that you qualify for everything. Or the other option, which a lot of people do, is you sell your current home, you get that big bucket of cash, if you will, and then you maybe rent a house for the next year while your build is taking place. That way you have that cash to put towards the new home and you just rent somewhere for a little bit. So there's a lot of different options, but that is kind of a con. You don't get to just move from your current home right into your new home as if it was a resale situation. So that's a con for sure. I think I kind of touched a little bit on it, the stress and anxiety part of it. That's a real thing when you build custom. Again, the builder that you pick has a lot to do with that and kind of what their process is and how much they minimize that stress and anxiety. But I will say that I think everybody that builds custom, especially if you're a married couple probably, has a few little discussions or a little bit of controversy throughout the process. Like I said, there's just a lot of stuff to think about. You're picking, like I said, doors, windows, trim, exterior design of the house has to come together. You got to make sure your room sizes are what you expect them to be and just that everything goes together. There's a lot of stuff to work through. I mean, who knew that you could have 500 different shades of white paint, right? But apparently you can. So you've got to work through all that stuff. And that can cause some stress and anxiety as you're going through the new custom home building process. So that's a con. But for me personally, I think the pros of what you get at the end of the day far outweigh those cons. The other con that comes into play with a lot of custom builds is unexpected cost. Again, a good builder can really mitigate this to a very large degree if they know what they're doing. But sometimes there are just those unforeseen costs that don't have anything to do with decisions you made as far as what selections you picked out for your faucets and toilets. But it might be that, hey, we did a soils test on this lot and this isn't the best soil, so we're going to have to over dig it and backfill it with good soil, and that's an extra $15,000. Or, hey, you know what, the utility company, like your neighbor, won't let you run utility lines, so you got to go around this way, and it's an extra $20,000. Overrun and costs, or unexpected costs, I should say, are real in custom home building. Again, a quality builder will try to mitigate those, but it's not where you walk into a resale property, you sign a contract, and that's the number you close at. Or if you go to a community to buy a new home, everything's priced out, you sign on the dotted line, that's the price you get the house for. In the custom home building world, there can be some cost, some unforeseen costs that you just have to kind of, budget for. Typically, most construction lenders will make you budget at least 10% above what the estimated build cost is, because again, they're the lenders that do this every day. They know builds always go over budget, and they want to make sure that you can still qualify for that amount. So that's a con as well, as just kind of unforeseen costs. So pro, the house, your dream home on your dream location. That's the pro. That's the only pro you really need. And then some of the cons are the timing of it, potential unforeseen costs, stress and anxiety as you go through the build process and have to pick out all that stuff. So those are the pros and cons that come to mind for me. I think that's pretty similar to what most of our clients that build custom would see. And then, so if it's something you're interested in, what are the first steps? What if you make the decision, hey, that's something I want to explore. I don't know if it's quite for me, but either you've made the decision that you want to explore the option, or maybe you have said, hey, I definitely want to build a custom home. What do I need to do? So I'll go kind of back to the beginning, what we talked about. Evaluate builders, do internet research, do your due diligence, reach out to someone local that has experience with multiple different builders, and really try to get a good feel for what those builders produce, what their product looks like, what their quality looks like, and then also what the cost is going to be. Every builder is going to tell you there's so many variables, I can't even begin to tell you what it's going to be. But I will tell you that most builders, if you really press them hard enough, they can, at the end of the day, they can come pretty close with a real rough price per square foot, at least to get you started. So, in our area, $300 per square foot is probably, I don't want to say on the low end, but it's a little bit lower end of custom home building. So you build a 4,000 square foot house, it's a $1.2 million home. Again, that's a rough number, but it gets you in the ballpark as you start to kind of lay out your budget. So first steps, figure out your budget, interview and do your due diligence and talking with local builders, and then start to look for that lot location. Just try to at least figure out, hey, here's some areas that I'd be interested, and then you can reach out to someone locally to figure out what's available in that area. And like I said, a lot of times builders will have lots available that you can purchase from them that they already know that they're good lots to build on. So first steps, budget, due diligence, and researching your builders, and then figure out what area you want to be in. what general location, and then reach out to a local professional to make sure that they can find you a lot in that area. So building a custom home, it's very similar across the country. Colorado Springs is not that much different than probably Spokane, Washington, but it is a very different process than buying a resale home or building a new construction home in a community. So is it worth it? I think definitely so, 110%. I don't really know anybody that we've worked with that's built a custom home that has said, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Once the process is over and they get those keys and they walk in the front door, everybody's always ecstatic about it. So if you have any questions about moving to Colorado Springs area and you're thinking about building custom, please reach out. We have a ton of experience with it. Like I said, we have a builder that we do a lot of work with, would love to introduce you to. Again, I do recommend you talk to multiple builders, but reach out to us. Call, text, email, comment below, whatever it is, whatever is easiest for you, just reach out to us. Let us get you that information, at least get you started in the right direction. And just know that building a custom home in Colorado Springs is an amazing end of the day result. There's just a little bit of process you got to work through to get to that end result. Any questions at all, reach out. Happy to tell you guys everything I know. Take care.